Latest memoir self-help book, The Light We Carry Overcoming in Uncertain Times, Michelle Obama opened up about social anxiety, motherhood, racism, marriage, and her ongoing struggles with body image and self-esteem. For fans of the iconic former First Lady, the revelations came as quite a surprise. Michelle Obama doesn't think she's good enough. But the words Michelle used to describe herself were truly shocking. Deep-seated fears. Perhaps Michelle's headline-making revelations come down to something else she wrote about in the book Self-Doubt and Poor Mental Health. The former First Lady wrote, "I've lived with my fearful mind for 58 years now. She makes me uneasy. She likes to see me weak." Michelle even compared having a fearful mind to coping with a life partner you didn't choose. Things got dark. Michelle's mental health got worse during the COVID-19 pandemic, too. She said on her podcast that she felt a weight at that time and suddenly it became harder for her to take care of herself. She expanded in her book, "I felt a blanket of despondency settling over me, my mind sliding toward a dull place. I was less able to muster optimism or think reasonably about the future," hating her own reflection. Michelle's fearful mind also sometimes causes her to doubt her appearance. She explained that on plenty of mornings she looked at herself in the bathroom mirror and desperately wanted to turn the lights off. Michelle believed she had first learned to dislike her body when she was still a child. She was tall for her age and thus stood out. A small wound that wouldn't heal. Michelle wrote in the book that she was always bringing up the rear as a child because of her height. That one small thing created a small wound in her. She said it was the tiniest kernel of self-loathing that would keep her from embracing her strengths. This body image issue was one she went into a lot of detail about in the book. She couldn't hide. Michelle wrote in the book, "Tall stood out. Tall became the label that got attached to me first, and it stuck with me right through. It was not something I could shake, not something I could hide about myself. I showed up tall for the first day of kindergarten and grew steadily from there, topping out at where I am now, 5 foot 11 inches around the age of 16, that caused a lot of years of standing out, envying the other kids." She went on, "By the time I got to high school, I felt a degree of envy for the kids who could easily blend into a crowd. Though I was happy in my classes and had a good set of friends, I still felt the label of my height. I was aware of it nearly all the time. I was straight up jealous of the smaller girls, the ones whose body size didn't seem to factor into how they bought their clothes or whether any boy would think twice before asking them to dance." Comparing herself to others. That envy grew and grew until she was doing the same thing so many teenage girls do, comparing herself unfavorably to her peers. Michelle wrote, "I'd go to pep rallies at school and watch the cheerleaders do flips and swish their pom-poms, recognizing that same mix of strength and performative grace I'd seen in the gymnasts, all the while understanding, with a touch of dismay, that some of those girls were approximately the size of one of my legs, making a brave decision." But crucially, Michelle was able to recognize what an unhealthy thinking pattern that was and pulled herself back from it. She came to decide that once you allow the judgment of others inside, it gets distracting. This is a hallmark of self-consciousness, a shift from thinking about yourself to imagining how people are thinking about you. And it can also become a form of self-sabotage, because now suddenly you too are perceiving your differentness first, a different kind of pressure. It probably helped that Michelle had already dealt with being the First Lady. In that role, she not only had to face the pressure of being the president's wife, but also fashion-conscious, stylish, intelligent, and accomplished. If she put a foot wrong, she'd immediately come under attack. And even when she didn't put a foot wrong, she'd still come under attack. Cruel words. From the moment her husband took office, Michelle got a lot of cruel comments about how she looked. Some of the people who said these things came in for severe criticism. One even ended up losing her job. But the insults still hurt Michelle a lot. And some of the same trolls insulted Michelle's body shape, especially after she started a new campaign. The trolls come out. In 2010, Michelle began work on the Let's Move campaign. This aimed to raise a healthier generation of kids by educating parents about health, serving better food in schools, and encouraging exercise. Michelle said in the press release, "This isn't the kind of problem that can be solved overnight, but with everyone working together, it can be solved," but this led to an outpouring of body shaming against Michelle. Body shaming comments. After Michelle launched the campaign, Rush Limbaugh went on a rant about how she weighed too much to care about health. He said, "It doesn't look like Michelle Obama follows her own nutritional, dietary advice. And then we hear that she's out eating ribs at 1,500 calories a serving with 141 grams of fat per serving." Comments like that went on for years afterward as well. She needs to drop a few. In 2014, Fox News' Keith Ablow said on air, "How well could Michelle Obama be eating? She needs to drop a few. We're taking nutrition advice from who?" That comment actually led Fox News meteorologist Janice Dean to tweet at Ablow, "Please keep your comments about women dropping a few to yourself. Sincerely, all women." Words hurt. Michelle spoke about this abuse on stage as part of Oprah Winfrey's 2020 Vision Tour. She said, "That stuff hurts, and it makes you sort of wonder, what are people seeing? That stuff is there. And look, I'm a black woman in America. And we're not always made to feel beautiful. So there's still that baggage that we carry, and not everyone can relate to that." So it's not surprising that body issues were a topic she dived into in her 2022 book. She hates her appearance. But some aspects of her revelations were surprising. Michelle informed her readers that she hates her appearance all the time, and no matter what she wrote, that she has an internal critic who is every monster she has ever known, but also part of herself. Those were much harsher words about herself than many might have expected. So it was time to stop the self-sabotage, changing her perspective. Michelle decided she would challenge her perspective about looking in the mirror. She wrote, "These days I try to practice being kind. I try it because it is a practice, especially as women. There are societal signals all around us telling us that there is something wrong with some part of us." She is acutely aware of the pressures on all women, too, not just those in the public eye. Impossible pressure from society. She mused, "We're supposed to age gracefully. We're supposed to be the same shape that we were when we were in our 20s after giving birth to 2-3 kids. We're not supposed to go gray. Our face isn't supposed to wrinkle. I mean, it's not in our heads. These messages are coming in. They've been coming in our whole lives." Fighting back. "So the notion that we aren't affected by it, and that I am not affected by it, that's laughable," Michelle went on. But there was a way to counteract the messages by being kind to herself. She declared, "I thought about what are the messages that I'm giving myself every day, and how do I reverse that trend? How do I light up for myself first?" The woman in the mirror. She continued, "So today when I'm looking at the mirror, I still see what's wrong, but I try to push those thoughts out and say, wow, you are healthy. Look at your skin. Look how happy you look. Your smile." I try to find the things about me that I love and start my day a little more kind. And that's just a small, simple tool. It doesn't require a gym membership. It doesn't require anybody else. Yet this isn't the only kind of self-doubt that plagues Michelle. Motherhood guilt. Michelle wrote how it would only take one tiny thing to go wrong with her kids to make her mother guilt play up. Self-scrutiny is something women are programmed to excel at, having been thrust into systems of inequality and fed fully unrealistic images of female perfection from the time we were kids ourselves, she explained. None of us, truly none, ever live up. Never enough. For mothers, the feelings of not enoughness can be especially acute, Michelle wrote. The images of maternal perfection we encounter in advertisements and across social media are often no less fake than what we see on the enhanced and photoshopped female bodies that are so often upheld as the societal gold standard for beauty. But still, we are conditioned to buy into it. Constant questions. I am as prone to this type of self-laceration as the next person, Michelle explained. At any sign of conflict or challenge with our kids, I would instantly and ferociously start scanning for my own mistakes. Had I been too tough on them or too indulging? Had I been too present or too absent? The questions never stop and neither does the worry, even for Michelle Obama. Always worrying. You will still be afraid for your kids, Michelle wrote. Even now, my husband, the former commander-in-chief, can't help but to text cautionary news stories to our daughters about the dangers of highway driving or walking alone at night. But Michelle has found a way to help alleviate the guilt that comes with parenthood as well as her own self-doubt. Treating yourself well emotionally and physically. Being kind to your body is very important when it comes to health, of course, and Michelle thinks that being kind to your mind is of equal value. Michelle had some advice in The Light We Carry about that too. That was how she overcame the need to compare her body negatively to other people's bodies. A daily mantra. The former First Lady tries, she explained in the book, to start every day with a positive message, and some of her social media followers know what that message might be. That's because back in 2021, Michelle tweeted out a message of support to gymnast Simone Biles. It said, "Am I good enough? Yes, I am. The mantra I practice daily." An ongoing challenge. Michelle again spoke about the importance of positivity in an interview with BBC Breakfast to promote The Light We Carry. She said to interviewer Naga Munchetti, "I'm still a work in progress and facing myself each morning with something kind is still a challenge. I try every day to, as I say in the book, greet myself with a positive message." A good start. She went on, and it's really a shame that so many of us, particularly women, have a hard time just looking at our own image and not tearing it apart and figuring out what's wrong. I think that's at the core of some of our unease and unhappiness